Thanks. Okay, we're good.
All
Here
right.
we go.
All right. So we had technical difficulties, but now we are moving forward with the roll call.
Baker. Kuhn.
Here.
Dryden.
Here.
Hedrick.
Here.
Hines.
Here.
Mitchell.
Here.
Sassy.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Ambulance. Finance.
Here.
Police. Public Works.
All right. Could we get a motion to approve the minutes of the March 18th, 2025 regular council meeting? Okay. Jason, in a second. Kevin? All in favor of approving the minutes of the March 18th, 2025 regular council meeting, say aye. Any abstaining? Okay, Mike is abstaining. All right, in old business, we have the ordinance committee. Did you want to read that there's nothing?
There's nothing. No agenda items and no public comment, and we adjourned at 4:01.
All right, thank you. All right, the next item is the Personnel Committee report from Tuesday, March 24th. Do you have that, Clyde?
Report here in front of you. There's no items on the for ordinance. The personnel committee met at 4:02. President was Kevin Thompson, Beth Hedrick, Mayor Diane Frankson, John Center, and Murray Walker. And the mayor read through the agenda items and a reminder that the government study committee will meet on March 27th at 6 p.m. at the Black Sheep Market. No action, just FYI. Number 2 is seniors from DCHS will be at City Hall on Wednesday from 8:30 to 11:30. Again, no action. And number 3, John Center updated the committee on the MMIA liability coverage. We'll have a packet of information to include in the city council packet April 1st. The council will vote to take action and move forward with changes recommended to get MMIA endorsement sent to the council for approval. And number 4, seeking lifeguards, cashiers, and pool managers for the city pool, FYI. And interviewed an EMT and 2 ambulance drivers waiting on background checks, no action. There was no public comment, and we adjourned at 4:07. Because their honor, the mayor did that.
Thank you. All right. Is there any discussion about any of that? We can move on to public comment. I don't have anyone signed up, but does anyone want to give public comment? All right, then we will move to new business. The first item is the update on the MMIA liability coverage. I'm going to ask Mr. Center to explain where we are in that process.
So MMIA has reviewed these changes and signed off on them tentatively. So I guess my question is if any of you have any questions about the proposed changes or why we're changing something. Put Derek Shepherd's comments in there so you can have some context for why we made the adjustments.
Yeah, it's very helpful to read what he wrote, and those are really good explanations. And I had never seen that before from him on a document, so it was nice to read what he was saying. It was very good. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess I should have probably asked for a motion before, but can we get a motion to update the MMIA liability coverage? Okay, Joanne and Kevin, it's a second. All in favor of updating the MMIA liability coverage, say aye. All right, that looks unanimous. The next item is a motion to approve paying the $250 penalty to the DEQ. Could I get a motion for that, Kevin? In a second, Jason. All right, any discussion or questions? Yes, Mike.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mayor. We owe this penalty due to what?
Well, when we had the emergency with the Jordan and the freestanding walls were still there, and we were expecting some very high winds. So we had a contractor come, we put out bids, but one guy came. Anyway, we knocked the walls down. I had gotten an emergency permit from the DEQ to knock the walls down. But the DEQ got 3 complaints when we did that. And so they came back and said that we needed to have a licensed asbestos contractor to get a permit. So usually the contractor gets the permit. We had the emergency permit, but we didn't have an asbestos permit. So I contacted the DEQ. They gave me the names of some licensed asbestos contractors. And I contacted several, but only one could come. And it took a couple weeks for him to get here because remember, this was November. It was cold. Anyway, so he came and he told me that it would cost 1.2 to 1.4 million for them to clean it up. So we couldn't afford to hire the contractor. So then when the EPA came and cleaned it up, they didn't get asbestos permit either. So we got fined by the DEQ for failure to have an asbestos contractor / permit. So it started out with kind of a high fine, and then it went down to 10,000, and then they agreed to go down to 1,000. And I basically said, you know, the city does not have a fund for this. We don't have even $1,000 laying around. So I was able to negotiate it down to $250 penalty. And when I did that verbally and agreed to the DEQ to pay it, then I brought it forward to add it to the agenda because the agenda had already been posted. So I wanted to make sure we followed through because I told him that we would. But there were some complaints about that we introduced a motion that wasn't on the agenda. Now, we can certainly do that in an emergency situation, but the complaints were saying you're not supposed to take action or pay any funds without public notice. So we already talked about this at the last meeting, and we all agreed that we would pay it. But I thought just to cover all our bases and make sure that no one's going to complain that we didn't notice people that we're going to pay $250 to the DEQ, and the check is in there that you guys have signed. So that's why I brought it forward now, that I just want the council to approve that we're paying it after it has been publicly noticed. Because I added it to the agenda with a motion to add an item to the agenda. We added it and then we got the Facebook complaining. So now,
Yeah. Okay.
and it appears that, you know, now that we're paying this penalty, this is done. We're done with this particular issue with the DEQ now.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor, for not only your explanation, but for all the work that's gone into getting us to this point, and couldn't be in more support of this or the previous support shown by the council. So thank you.
Any other concerns or questions? Did you have a concern? Yeah.
Well, one was answered.
Oh,
Thank you, with your explanation. But the other one, after, thinking about, in hindsight, I just wanted to basically say, then I'm agreeing for the 250 to make it go away, but not admitting guilt.
Yes, and they put that in there, that we were protecting the safety and health of our citizens, that we did nothing wrong, because it was an emergency situation. But I will accept responsibility that, we didn't get a permit. We met with the DEQ in Helena. They wanted, Frank to get his asbestos certification. We did all the steps that they've asked us to do, and we've given them all the documents that they have asked for. I didn't really want to pay this either, because if anyone should have had a asbestos permit, it would have been the EPA who cleaned it up. But she did not feel that she needed one. And they knew what they were doing, of course, and they were asbestos contractors. So I don't know how much a permit would have cost if I would have gotten a permit without having a contractor. But I know the emergency permit was $300, and we already, got that the day we did it. So I felt that paying this penalty was probably cheaper than getting a permit. I don't know. And I didn't feel that I could get them to go any lower. So in the little form that I signed and everything, it does say that we were protecting public health and safety and that we did nothing wrong. But the fact remains that to close the case, I don't know, we got to pay a penalty or else get a permit. So
Yes, exactly what Mr. Coon said. Oh, just one more thing on this. I don't even know if you were the mayor, but we had a fire in town, Ponderosa, and those walls were still standing, and then for whatever, maybe lack of having been in this situation before as a city, in my time anyway, the vagaries of the weather knocked the walls down, which is a lot more dangerous than when you say, today at this amount on the clock, we're going to take care of the situation. And you keep everybody away, and
yes,
and that versus let's just wait till something happens. Well, that's a very bad thing
well,
to
we
kind of
learned
go through, but we've maybe learned something, and I think this is great.
Yeah, I think we learned our lesson, because it did fall on the Penny's building and damaged quite a bit and blew the door open and nearly injured workers in there, because all that rubble went right in the door. And those poor guys had just moved into that building from their other damaged building. So, and I know that people had come and begged the council to do something about those walls. I have some of the comments in a file, but yes, we had kind of learned something from that, and it was really important that with the collapse zone of the Jordan was even more than the Ponderosa. So we really didn't have a choice, and they understood that, I think. But they still had to respond when people make a formal complaint. And like I said, there's only 3 complaints that were ever filed. So most of the people supported what we did, but we did have a few people thinking we should be fined more and held accountable for what we did. But what we did was for the safety and security of the people who live here. So, all right, any more discussion about this subject? All right, so all in favor of approving paying a $250 penalty to the DEQ, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, now the next item, could I get a motion so we can discuss issues with random problems relating to video recording and ways to make audio recording available? Okay, Clyde, in a second. Okay, Kevin. All right, so I'm sure we all have some comments on this. As you know, we only are required to do an audio recording. Now, for unknown reasons, we sometimes have technical difficulties with the YouTube recording, or I don't know if it's Mid Rivers, I don't know if it's some connection, but I guess what I'm suggesting is that when we have kind of a policies for when we have a problem with the video recording, we will put the audio recording. We can do it either on YouTube, which we've done one other time, or we can put it on our website. So we record every meeting with the audio recording, and those are available. The audio is quite clear. You can hear the audio very well. I think since we are required to do that, I think maybe we should always put the audio recording on and then the video recording when we can. But that's just my suggestion, and I'm certainly open for discussion about it. Yes, Betsy.
What is the problem? Why are we having problems? I mean, Frank can go up somewhere and do something and then all of a sudden it works. I don't know why. And I just asked Rhett, what goes on at the school?
Well, I think the issues that I've seen that we have aren't related to the hour or anything else, but the one thing that, if Frank's smart, but if Frank isn't here at a meeting or in a year and a half. Yep. And then you don't have to connect to Wi-Fi. So yes, we will be. Mid Rivers is up, you'll be up. That's a lot of that. But I still think you have a good point about in which case. Is that how old is that recorder?
It's a lot younger than me. I have no idea. It looks very modern to me, considering what I see from.
You just plug that into your laptop and download it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then I would say we do a policy change that also save either save those recordings and post them on the website, or
And I think some of them are on our website.
I agree. I think we should just put both.
Yeah.
Put the audio on our website and YouTube when we can. If we can get a hard line, that may be an issue.
Mm-hmm. It's worth a try.
Yeah, I like the city website
Mm-hmm.
recordings,
Mm-hmm.
not other sources. Nothing against them, but that's our vehicle for communicating with the public, so let's use it.
And that's what the commissioners have, all their recordings on their county website.
So two things, because is that going to increase a burden on Darcy and Pisca, or is that?
No, that's fine. It's better than me trying to get this started.
So then I would make a motion that we post all of these audio recordings of the council meetings to the website.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor of posting the audio recordings to the website, say aye.
Aye.
All right. The next item is accounts payable claims. So could I get a motion to pay the accounts payable claims of $13,600.39? Okay, Jason, in a second.
Second.
Okay, Betsy. All in favor of? Oh, yes. Yes. That's why I did take my glasses off and look again. Yeah.
I was gonna say, no engineers are getting paid with these claims, I take it.
No, they aren't. All right, so all in favor of paying the accounts payable claims of $13,600.39, say aye. Okay. Next is the March payroll. So could I get a motion to pay the March payroll of $345,968.94? Okay, Rhett, in a second. Clyde. All right, all in favor of paying the March payroll of $345,968.94, say aye. Right. Next are the department head comments. So I guess I'll start with you, Mr. Center, if you have any things to add.
Bill will be covered. So I hope that's the case. And then that will be circulated to all the employees again to sign since we made those changes. The other thing I wanted to mention was you probably noticed a couple of new reports in the packet this month. I want to start including those on a monthly basis. They're the bank reconciliation report and the a list of the JV journal voucher entries that we made. And we're not required to, put those before the council, but I think it's good for you to look at. It's just another group of eyes. If you have any questions about, well, what was this adjustment to cash? Or what was this journal entry? Journal entries can be kind of powerful because you can put anything anywhere. And so make sure you're aware of the things we're doing manually. So you'll see those every month. And then also on a quarterly basis, to start providing the budget to actually report entire city by department. So you can look at it, you can not look at it, it's your choice, but it's there if you want to see how we're doing year-to-date. That I think actually is required by MCA. So the other thing I'll mention quickly is we're going to start ramping up on budget here very, very soon. We'll be scheduling a personnel workshop with our accounting firm. And so we'll be scheduling like with the personnel committee, the accounting firm, just to go over projections and assumptions for salaries next year. And that nature, so we can start working that to the budget. And then later in the month, we'll do the same thing for the capital budget. Into our budget for, so Cooper will be probably the one to be most involved in that. And then I understand that some of you been on an ad hoc budget committee every year to look at budget stuff during that season. So you get invited too. So we'll let you know when those are going to be scheduled, probably April 14th for the personnel and April 28th for the capital. So a little bit. But it's going to start getting busy pulling all that stuff together with the departments and the accountants. But that's all I have for you.
Any questions?
I have a
Oh,
question.
yes.
John, I just didn't understand, you talked about the budget to actual report every quarter. Is that gonna be in our packet or do we come see you to look at that?
No, I'll put that in your packet.
It'll be in the packet.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yes, Rich, sorry.
And maybe I'm wrong on this, but just thinking back to a previous administration. So when we're asked to sign off on something, on maybe a couple of the, and some of these are common sense, and we can understand, but maybe some, I don't know if you could write a short, one sentence reminder or explanation on each one of these.
I will.
To go with us as a board. We actually do that in last minute, with the detailed thing in there, but I'll just cut and paste that. Okay. Or whoever's doing it. Yeah, because then if like somebody who's not on the FUTA meeting and might not know we talked about it or something like that, then then I think before people were leery on putting their initials on something that they had no idea what was going on. So we understand. But thank you very much. This has been really good.
And right, if you look at the journal voucher details report that's included, there is more of an explanation.
Okay, so like for the first one.
If you grab the journal voucher details report in your packet,
Oh, yeah, okay. All right. Yep.
it shows what was typed in black down.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Yeah, John.
Go ahead.
And this may be a question that you don't have to answer and say, go do your homework, buddy, but anything jump out at you with the cash bank reconciliation? It's not, there's kind of got this prepared, anything that would need further comment and
Darcy does the reconciliations every month, and we look them over. And just make sure, there's a couple of things that have been hanging out there for a while that we're gonna clean up. And I think she explained in her notes on the reconciliation report. But, no, unless we had a huge adjustment for some reason, sometimes there's some deposits that hit our books, but they don't hit the bank until the first day of the month. So technically they're in the, it's the same as your personal account. But no, I mean, that, the whole point of that process is to get that difference down to zero. And there might be some little adjustments that are explainable. That would hopefully the next month resolve themselves naturally, so.
so this isn't used though to show where I understood what you were saying there, thanks, John. Where certain departments, funds, et cetera, are way above where they should be, or way overspent from where they should be at this time in the fiscal year.
Well, that will be that quarterly report.
Okay.
We'll start, and that'll start next meeting.
Okay,
So like April, July, yeah, on a quarterly basis, you can see how things are going through there. Actual budget.
okay, and then these are quick follow-ups, so thanks. Those meeting dates, those are pretty firm for us, you think, Mayor, then? 14th and 28th of April, that's fine with me, I just wanna
Okay, yeah, I think.
kind of knock that in. Okay,
He gave us some times on his schedule, so.
okay. And then earlier, the last one I'll ask is, you were talking about the MMIA, liability policy for the city, which I believe is at no cost.
Correct.
Okay, to the city. And then, but on the city policy here, which is in our packet, and you were kind of getting a little wondering about, is that being sent to MMIA or someone for, what's the word there, their overview?
So, yeah, this is the employee policy is the thing they wanted to make sure was right before they issue the coverage. So they have looked at this.
Okay,
They've looked at all
okay,
these
that's the connection
changes.
here.
Yeah,
And then do we have to approve these changes? I see, we have changes or, there's changes highlighted here. Does the council have to approve those? Are they already approved or? I'm a little confused on what, we got
Yeah,
changes
so-
in here and it's like, okay, now.
I think. Getting enforcement,
Right,
getting the liability coverage, I don't think there was a motion specifically to approve the changes, which is probably a good idea.
well, that's why I was wondering where we are with that.
Yeah, no, you can do that tonight. That was my expectation. Most of the changes are just wording, yeah.
Clarify.
Have we approved the policy manual before at the council? We do?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought so because
I
it's,
went through a lot of this just to.
yeah,
Well, my suggestion was I think we send this that, and then just add this to the next council meeting.
yeah, when we get
If
it
we
back.
add something to the agenda now, then people might get.
Oh, yes.
Again,
Yeah, we don't want that.
but
So
it would just be housekeeping.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I put it on the agenda for next time and then we'll have the completed report from the MMIA and it'll be, it won't be that red stuff. It'll be the actual updated. So I'll bring the updated policies forward.
Thanks, John.
All right. Any other questions for John? No. Well, thank you for everything you do, John. I appreciate it. All right. So we're moving on to Mr. C in there.
crazy road. Parks. So then we're moving in that direction for summer here. Last week we replaced the valve and that was leaking. That's one of the issue. Repair on sloping. Friday. It was out. Right time to do it and ended up being quick. But we got it done. And it's got some top parts released this week and back truck. This Thursday, there will be a wing detour on Merrill. With in front of the school, 75 units. So,
Well, you can get an update today, but I think it might start tomorrow. No, that.
This is in the middle. We did Thursday.
Yeah. Out today, so.
Anybody else have any questions? Southern Drive.
Yes, Brett.
I'm gonna cover for you here, but I'm gonna. No, I just wanna say that you're through the, really good job on the water main break on Slocum.
Yeah, it was an eventful, repair.
Yeah, but with all the challenges, they were professional, they were efficient, they worked, long hours, hard, I think, but then it's where.
No, it's a good group.
Yeah.
They're good.
They did good, so.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it's good to, I don't know, those are the type of days that you, actually, it's never nice to have that situation, but it's also good that you get practice in a day like that when it's not raining. Something and they run into some problems because it just makes them that much more.
And it's controlled free.
It was right next to school.
There you go.
Yeah. Good to see him. Good to see him. Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
Comments, Frank, just a comment. I appreciate the street sweeper being out today and doing that, but when I was in Utah, nice, well-organized communities where my granddaughter lives right next to a park. And, you know, I was there every day with dogs or great grandkid or whatever, but no garbage receptacle there ever. And so,
It's Utah, man.
so I mean, you know, I bring stuff back home with me, but there was stuff there was a lot more stuff.
home?
Put in the truck, but I'm just saying by us having those there, it makes so much sense because there's kids and sometimes they didn't know that's garbage they're just leaving there, or adults, who knows, but when there's no receptacle there, it kind of makes it difficult to clean up and put.
In Utah, I hear you.
Yeah. Thank you. I won't explain that. Nobody wants to hear it. No dogs allowed.
Did you have anything, a police report, Ms. Mills? Oh, good.
It's a new mental health resource. Anybody can call 988 and mental health for resources, and then if they feel that they're suicidal or that they dispatch center. This is starting across the state of Montana. I think it's live now. I know it's not, so we signed the MOU and that it's active as we speak. Text to 911. We've had this for a few years, but it's not super popular. We're finding a lot of people don't realize we have it. So we're just letting you know that we do have a text to 911. If somebody doesn't feel comfortable making a phone call around somebody, you can literally text and dispatch will type back in a text message to you of what. We've had a couple of kids from out of state test this out, and it's very difficult to figure out who they are, but we treat every text to 911 like a phone call. tracking spot. So if anyone wants to introduce it to their children or their families ever want to try it, we just ask that you call the line, let us know that this is just going to be a sample call. And if we have time to let you know that, yes, go ahead and try it and show how it works and how to call. I'm Responding app. It's been working really good with the city, ambulance, fires, West Glendive Fire. We just currently added Richie onto this. We're currently still working on getting the search and rescue on. So just another thing on dispatch. Couple stats for you guys. All of the month of March, we had a total of 532 calls for service that we have responded to. And we wrote 30 citations, not including search warrants or arrest warrants.
Chief, the 988 mental health line there. Just question is there funding that came with that?
It's free to us. Great Falls started it, and then their resources that built it reached out to all the PSAPs and got us going on it free of charge. And basically, it's just if somebody in our area wasn't call 988 and they need help, then they will call 988, will call the dispatch center. So anyone can call, it's not just our dispatch.
And the public being made aware of that
We will
service?
put-
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No? How about you, Ms. Gaynor?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank John for spending some time with me on the budget and some other ideas that we're working on. He was very helpful. And I left there with a few good things. So, I don't, my stats don't meet Katie's at all, but we the first were almost at 200 calls for the years that we started in TV. Just today I was released to go back to work, and I just want to applaud my crew openly that they very much. They've really stepped up to the plate. Some of them are very often take calls and can answer the calls and still appreciative of all. That's all, unless you have questions.
Doug Baker made me aware of that when I was gone, by the way. By showing me when the meeting got over, but anyway, it's,
All right, well, I think that's all the department heads, so the next item is the we've got the cash report and the JV report, but I think you already covered that, Mr. Center, so we'll move on to the committee meetings. We've got the street committee on April 9th at 2025 at 4, the FUPR on April 9th, 2025 at 4:15 p.m. And then it's the mayor comments, but I don't really have a lot of comments. I just want to say that we did have the high school kids here. And I want to thank Joanne and Jason for being here and answering questions. I got a note back from the organizer, and they said that they got great feedback from all the stops. They appreciated everyone taking time out of their schedules. They wanted to thank Councilman Hines and Councilmember Sassy for being available. They loved the water plant, Frank. The kids were really impressed with the water plant. But they also went to the fire and the ambulance. I want to say, Mary Jo, there was, I think her name was Tara. She had a baby strapped on her back. She had 2 little kids with her, and she pulled the ambulance out and they all washed it while, she was talking to the high school kids. Anyway, they were all pretty impressed. And I think it was a really kind of a neat thing. I don't know how, if if we'll get them really, interested in city government, but they were pretty impressed with the water plant. So that was kind of nice to know. And Corey let him, look around the fire truck and blew all the sirens and horns for him and everything. So it was kind of fun. It was. Yeah. So anyway, we got through all that. And then I just wanted to say that we have on our webpage and on our Facebook, we have a newsletter. It talks about some of the projects coming up. And then I was sent an email to respond about the campground expansion at Makoshika. So I did write a letter supporting the expansion. There will be no bathhouse at this time. But in the future, maybe we'll be able to do that when they are able to get the money and get a sewer line there. So I did talk to Jordan Mayer with Interstate Engineering, and he showed me a really cool picture of the campground playground that's going to be there, and it's all dinosaur themed. And in my whole letter, I'm ranting about making sure that everything is ADA compliant, and it already was. So they have some little things that, you can push a wheelchair on. And so that was really kind of neat. And then the entrance to the playground will be like giant mammoth tusks to go in there. And it's all rubber surface, but it's not chips. It's just like a rubber, kind of a hard rubber mat. So I think that it will be a great addition. I'm disappointed that there's no bathhouse because I think that makes it hard for people to stay more than one night. But in the future, I think that will be coming. And then I got another request. I think we all got it, to write a letter of support for the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority. So I did write a letter of support, and the last thing that I saw was I think they got $2 million something from the legislature to support them. So I think that'll really help, because remember, this line, which is called the Big Sky North Coast Corridor, is the only one that is still in Congress that may be funded. So everything else has been cut. And if this could get restored, we would have, passenger train all the way basically from Chicago to Seattle and going right through Glendive. So they've got the funding. I think it's looking pretty positive. So anyway, I wrote those 2 letters of support. If you want to see them, I can show them to you. And otherwise, again, I just want to thank everybody who participated with the kids here, because it was really nice to have the fire truck and the ambulance, and the kids were outside. And I thought that the seniors were very respectful. They seemed interested, at least, even if they weren't that interested in how the meetings work and how you can run for office. If they weren't interested, they're very good actors. So I thought it was really nice to have them here. So with that, I think we could move for adjournment. All right, Joanne. And a second. Okay, Kevin, all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
That concludes the meeting.
Brett, you can send Baker a message.